How you doing, everybody? I'm Larry Lawrence. Today I'm with
Alexander Trotter,
and we're at
Sights and Sounds Museum, North Dekalb Mall.
You guys come check it out. Today we're here with Mr. Horton.
Yeah, Mr. Horton is going to give us a tour. I'm going to walk through some of the sections with him, try and see what this place is about.
Lead the mic to my friend right here so that he can interview Mr. Horton, because these two, very good.
Yeah. So we're going to get started. We're going to take a look into his museum, and we're going to talk to the man himself, Mr. James C. Horton, who's going to come in right now. How you doing, Mr. Horton? Good to see you.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Yes,
so this museum is about everything Black culture, Black history, and it takes us from our roots in Africa all the way up into present day. And we're going to just go inside. He's going to show you what's up. And are you good with doing that? You're going to give us a tour?
Yeah.
Okay, well then here we go.
No problem with that at all.
All right then, let's go inside. Let's go. So right here is where Mr. Horton has his legacy, all his accomplishments, and the things that he's done up far. So Mr. Horton, can you tell us a little bit about where you started from?
Actually, this was added to the museum by my sons. They convinced me that I should put this in because when they watched me do interviews with people who came in, may it be media or just giving a tour, many times when I would say certain things about I was involved in this, and this, they would look at me. In particular, when my back was turned, my son said, they would shake their head and say, now that is the linest black man that you ever want to see. He knew that in 1977, he was in China. There was no diplomatic relationship between the U.S. and China at that time, but I was, and there's an article here that just talks about that. Or he was giving a special thing by Governor George C. Wallace, supposed to be one of the racist governors that ever existed in America, as a lieutenant colonel in his militia, where I would meet with them and talk about certain issues. In February, here, 17th, 1985, the city of Tuscaloosa declared that as James Horton Day in Tuscaloosa. So these are the kinds of things that I sort of was involved in. Solar energy projects back during that particular time, working in the community and trying to make a difference and let young people know that you control your destiny. Just because someone would say, I don't have a mother, or I don't have a father, or I don't have a nice place, I don't have the fancy shoes, the fancy clothes. I didn't grow up with any of that. And my father left when I was very young, when I was 7 years old. And I didn't see him again until I was 22. But that didn't give me excuses what? Not to continue to do what my grandmother, my great-grandmother, and grandfather, and older people in the community said to me as I grew up. You got old soul. You're going to do things, you're going to go places that most people don't have the opportunity to go. You're going to participate in things that most people don't have an opportunity to do. And that's what happened. That's why this part is part of it.
Okay, all right. And that is his legacy right here. And it's a big one, too. So we're going to get started going down to the rest of the way. Right here is where we start off with our indigenous roots in Africa. So can you talk about a little bit about that and what all these posters and flags represent?
Well, Africa was a place when I grew up that was very negative. There was nothing that I saw in the media or people said to me about Africa was positive and good for young people. So when they started saying, oh, your ancestors or your people came from Africa, I'll go like, no, that's not true. Because I didn't want to be people that treat me like they was treating them that came from. Now, I grew up thinking someone by the name of Tarzan, Jane, and Cheetah ruled Africa, because that's what they were showing in the media. As I started researching, the thing that really opened my eyes was this, where it says Africa in its perspective there, the map. That map shows you how large Africa is. You can superimpose all those countries inside of Africa and still have land. And then I got a hold of these beautiful cities in Africa. Just amazing to me. These are not cities that was built in the last 25 or 30 years. And then the pictures here are the great kings and queens of Africa, which existed back hundreds of years ago. And there's still kings and queens in Africa today. And once I found that out, I started wanting to do more research about actually what was going on in Africa, even to the present day. And one of the things I found out, that the first slave trade, if you want to say that, of people who came to America as slaves did not actually come directly from Africa. They came from the islands. Because when you look at the way that the ships would go and navigate through the current, that was easier to get to. Then they brought them from there to here, to America. And what fascinated me when I found out that the first ship, 1695, if I remember correctly, landed in Jamestown, Virginia, loaded with slaves, people in slavery, with the shackles on them.
What was the ship called?
The Good Ship Jesus. Now, as soon as I heard that, I was like, what? Why would they call it the Good Ship Jesus? Then I got to thinking about it. When I read the King James Bible and some other biblical information, that gave a description of Jesus. But what I saw, the description of Jesus as a child growing up, was nothing like what was in the book. So I said, okay. And then they used to say, if you want black people not to know something, in particular about themselves, put the information in the book, because they couldn't read. It was not that they could not read. It was the English language that they did not know. All right?
Outlawed for them to read.
That's exactly right, you know. And many of them could. Now you're hearing about lots of people who could read, could write, and it's all good. These are all artifacts that was donated to me by people who has gone to Africa, and sometime I have some extra dollars and I know someone is going, I give it to them and say, pick up something and bring it back to me so that I can share as part of the museum. We leave Africa and we come to America, and when you come to America, the first thing you think about slavery, you will think about the Underground Railroad and the Civil War. So what's going to happen here, this exhibit area is about to be changed. I'm going to put in an area that's going to highlight slavery in the islands, Jamaica, the Bahamas, and all that, and then bring them from there to here into slavery during the Underground Railroad. One of the amazing things that I found out, and this is Harriet Tubman's great-great-grandniece. She visited us a couple years. She was born in September. She was here, and we gave her a proclamation that was given to me by the county to present to her. And she told me, I'll see you next September. I said, okay, we'll be waiting for you. She visited us. Harriet Tubman name when she was born was not Harriet Tubman. Her name was Arminty Ross. She changed it because they was looking for that gal who was head of an Underground Railroad, you know. She said, well, okay. So they'll walk up to her and say, what's your name, gal? And she said, Harriet Tubman. Do you know Arminty Ross? No, I have no idea who that is. Very smart. With her there.
And so I see a whole bunch of other books here too. So what are the ones that stand out to you the most?
One of them is this. It's the famous Willie Lynch letter, The Making of a Slave. Okay. There's many historians say this is not true, but if you read this, you will find out if it's not true, somebody had enough intuition that they put this together, because it said 400 years after slavery has been abolished, if you do what I tell you to do to these black people now, you don't have to worry about them. They will enslave themselves. And when you look at what's going on, not totally, but a lot of us are just enslaving ourselves. So I like to share that. This one I like sharing, in particular with the young ladies when they come through. In 1823, this gentleman owned a plantation, and on his plantation he had these two little girls, and he gave them to his daughter. So just like you have to get something to prove that the car is now yours or the house is now yours, he had to put together this bill of sale. When I understand, he didn't get any money. He just gave them to her, and then he had this. So if someone come and want to take them away, no, they're mine. So that's what this is.
One last one for us.
We talk about cotton quite a bit. So what I try to do, I've got some original cotton here, and young people and people who come through who've never picked this cotton, I'll let them take this and take a look at it, pull it, and get some idea what the cotton is all about.
And we used to pull that on plantations all across the South, right?
Oh, yes.
And so when we leave, more or less, first coming on the ship, and then we get more into slavery, talk about some of the different aspects of how we were portrayed and things like that in this nature, because I see you have all these dolls right here and all these figurines. So can you tell us about that?
This is my mother's collection. She collected these when I was growing up, and I'm the oldest of 9 children. And once she started collecting, we and other family members started giving her pieces also. But each one of these pieces, if she was still alive, she could pick it up and tell you a story about it. You know, when you was a boy, you did this and this and this, and when you was a little girl, you did this and that. And I used to love music, and this is the way they dress and they look. So that's what this is all about. It's like a memory about from her childhood all the way to adulthood, and also her children and her grandchildren. That's what this is all about. Yeah.
Okay, so as we walk down a little bit further, what's the next section that we're going to be getting?
We're going into an area I call grandmother's and great-grandmother's kitchen. And this area sort of reminded me when I was growing up and I would go visit my grandmother, things that I saw outside of our house and also things that I saw inside of our house. Outside of our house, this was one of my favorite gadgets because they never could get me to go inside there. That's called the outhouse. That's where you had to go to use the restroom, okay?
Outside.
Outside, exactly. And there was a hole in the ground, no running water or anything. So that. At night, there was no running water or place that you could go to relieve yourself. So they put this inside, and some people call it the chamber pot. But I call it, and when I was growing up, people call it the slop jar. You would do your business there at night, and then the next morning, you would take it outside and pour it inside of this. These are tools that was given to me from a slave plantation in Alabama, and they was created by the blacksmith. And when he told me the blacksmith, it sort of dawned on me, okay, the blacksmith. I never thought of the blacksmith as being a black man until that particular time. Or the term cowboy. These were men, but they was never dressed as men. They were always boys, cowboys. There.
And were we like the first cowboys? Because I see like we have a notable figure here in Western history, Bass Reeves.
Oh yeah, Bass Reeves, and he's a lot of people don't realize it, but the picture, what they would call cowboy pictures that would come on when I was a kid growing up on television, that was a Lone Ranger. He was a Caucasian with a mask on and hung around with a Native American Indian, they call him Tonto. Well, that is based off Bass Reeves, who was a black gentleman, and he was a U.S. Marshal. And from reading and finding out things about him, he didn't play. If they said that Bass Reeves is on the way to get you, most of the time they say they went ahead and turned themselves in.
Right, because he had caught a lot of criminals out here.
Oh, yes. yes. You didn't want him looking for you. Right.
And so what else are we looking at in Grandma's kitchen? Are we looking at different figurines and different food?
Yes. What I tried to do is show the advertisement back when I was a kid growing up in my great-grandmother's and mother's days compared to today. When you look at the Aunt Jemima grits, and people say, well, why did they have her on the box? Well, you know that if you was getting the recipe that was created by her, you was getting the best, okay? So that's why they did that. Same thing here, the cream of wheat. Once again, you had the black gentleman there. You knew that you was getting the best that was there. This one was surprising to me because it said Darky toothpaste. And when I got this and I opened it up, still have the dark gentleman there. And when I open this up, nothing dark in there. That's right. And it smells pretty good. But the idea with the advertisement was because of the color of your skin, when you smile, what did it do?
Makes your teeth whiter.
That's exactly right. I said, wow, they still. And I brought it to the present day where you see the wrap snack.
Migos.
Yeah. Okay. And the patty pies, some of the restaurants today, or they use the advertisement, but it's a little different. It's not so stereotype stuff where they're trying to make someone look bad.
Okay, so where we're going down here, we see a couple Coke inspired things and brand advertisements. So were we a part of the advertisements back in the day for big name companies?
Well, there it is. And when I ran across these and they was donated to me and a couple of them I bought, I was surprised because there was people wanted to buy them from me, but I would not sell them because they say, you don't see these items today. This, my mother told me to take off the table because this was my baby ball. She would take the Coke out of it, put milk and juice, water in it, put the nipple on it, and I would drink. The old waffle maker here.
Old waffle maker.
Oh, yeah. Ice cream freezer. That's there.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, and as we head down more to the other side, what is that?
You ready for a haircut?
Oh, that's an old shaver?
Those are the first clippers. Yep.
Very first clippers.
Yeah.
Okay.
The gentleman gave them to me who cut my hair for the first time, and when he showed me how it worked, I said, now I know why I'm bald-headed. You know, I said, when I was a baby, you just pull it all out.
Well, we've come a long way.
And here, I used to watch my mother, and she would do my sister's hair. To get the straight hair, they would heat this and put a little oil on it, and then they would go into their hair, and they want to curl it. They use this to curl the hair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what that's all about.
Speaking about hair, I see that you have different things that are added to the exhibit, such as this. Can you tell us a little bit about this and why you put it in?
Well, I thought it was important. Sometime I'm not able to actually get up and give the tour, but you'll be able to come here, and what's here is here. Just flip through it, and it'll give you the history about. This one is dealing pretty much with hair products that we're going to put here, and you can see how they change from Africa to the present day. Beauty salons and schools, young ladies that was doing that, people who came up with the whole idea, and that's what this is. Every exhibit area will have one of these. So I call it sights and sounds. Actually, there should be videos that's playing, and normally that's what's going on when people come in.
Right.
There's a video or something that's going on.
Because this is an interactive experience, so you want everybody to see and get a feel for what really history was back in the day.
Exactly.
And when we get a feel for some things, oftentimes there's speeches, the most memorable one being Dr. King, and we hear that coming to this next part of the exhibit. Can you tell us what this part is and what that's more focused on? I see a couple books here with key figures in it.
Yeah, this young lady, Miss Jackie James. She's a retired school teacher, and she's putting together a collection of books. It's going to be about 25 or 30 of them, she told me. And it's going to be called The Friends of Dr. King, and that's what she's doing. These are people who work with Dr. King. Dr. King relied on helping him during the movement. That's what this is about here. Here we get into showing different events that happened from the funeral all the way to the assassination of Dr. King. Family members there are spotlighted as part of it.
Okay.
Dr. King's speech, and I get a lot of fun with that, particularly some of the little, when they come, they stand back here, they recognize, and they will be looking up and looking around like, where is that coming from?
Feels like you're stepping back in history.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I have a lot of fun because I asked them, I said, you know, Dr. King's name when he was born was not Martin Luther King. They go like, what? I said, well, what was his name? I said, his name was Michael King. At age 7, that's when his name was changed. When his father became a minister, he wanted the world, when they heard his name, to think of him religiously, Martin Luther. Then he changed it from Malcolm to Martin Luther King.
I didn't even know that.
Okay? That's what we like doing. We like sharing with people so they can find out little things about our culture and our history. It's not that information is not out there. It's just you got to kind of know where to go and look for it.
Right. And so when we're looking deeper back into our history, we see that a lot of black people have played prominent roles in the military and defending this nation and even expanding it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, this is the Buffalo Soldiers, and I always wondered when I heard the name, why they call them the Buffalo Soldiers? And then I found out because the Cheyenne warriors that was here when they became a part of the military, they gave them that nickname because when they saw them and they saw their woolly hair and how courageous they were, they say it reminded them of the buffalo. And that's how that name came by, Buffalo Soldiers.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what else have we done in the military thus far besides even expanding the whole country? Have we fought in significant wars for this country as well?
Yes. Even down to the Civil War, where the South and the North was fighting. There was both black men that was on both sides, on the northern there and also in the South. Buffalo Soldiers, and then the next famous group is known as the Tuskegee Airmen. And once again, we have music related to the Buffalo Soldiers. Tuskegee Airmen, they was trained in Tuskegee, Alabama at the University of Tuskegee, and that's how they came up with the nickname Tuskegee Airmen. And the Red Tails, because when they was painting their plane, they ran out of paint. And they said the only paint they could find was red. So the airmen said, okay, paint the front and the tails red. So that's how they came up with the nickname. The Red
Make use of what you got.
There you go. There you go.
We have some pictures of them right here,
Right.
some memorabilia,
Right.
some self-imposed works and books that they've probably written.
Oh yeah, yeah. I have books, and I have lots of their signatures on that poster there. I was told I have more original signatures probably than anyone was able to get. I spent quite a bit of time with the ones that lived here and when they was visiting here in the metro Atlanta area when I first came here from Alabama back in 2000.
Okay.
Yeah. Like here, you see, these are original signatures of Tuskegee Airmen that's here.
Night Fighters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's one of the documentaries that's there.
And you'd have to look pretty hard to find videos like this somewhere.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You can go online and get them now. But where you see all the stars here in this book, all these original signatures of Tuskegee Airmen, and the gentleman who wrote this book, he also autographed it for me, too. That's in there.
Okay, so now that you brought us over to books and film, movies, you have this whole complete section right here in front of us, and this is just amazing because it shows how much of an impact we've had in cinema and making our own culture stand out, telling our own story. Can you tell us why that's so important to you?
It's very important. Some of the things that we see that's out there in cinema is make-believe, but a lot of it is the real deal, if I can use that term. And that's what we try to do here. And I try to spotlight the, what you want to call it, this big issue today with the blackface and all that. It was entertainment. And it wasn't as much, I don't know, when I was growing up, it was just the way that people, and particularly black men, went on the stage and entertained. Sometimes you didn't even have no idea who they were. I don't know what's going on with it today. I've had some people come in and ask me about that. And I said, you know, just be blessed for who you are. And just because someone else do it, you don't have to do it.
That's right.
That's it.
And you have pictures from telling our story from the very beginning, 12 Years a Slave,
Yeah.
which harkens back to the first exhibit, that first section of the exhibit we passed by. And then you have films such as Superfly that takes place in, you know, the 70s and maybe the early 80s.
Oh, yeah.
And then you have all these other films right here. So now we have like Tyler Perry and Jamie
My
Foxx.
favorite one is this one, The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Tremendous story about that. Lean on Me, Tyler Perry. This one, Imitation of Life. Rising in the Sun. So all these films are, I think, important because they inspire you to do better or inspire you not to do at all, I say sometimes. One of the most exciting ones that I really...
Right, because this is real recent.
Oh, yes, right, was The Hidden Figures. And as I sit there and watch the movie, I kept hearing computers. And then when they showed that, they were talking about these young ladies. I go like, wow, okay. Also what I do here, this is race. This is Jesse Owens. And these are all Olympic gold medalists. All these people who signed here, they actually won gold medals in the Olympics. Over here, these are young people who are either ran track in high school or college. I let them sign. And what it's doing is that a lot of them say to their friend, I'm spotlighted in the museum. And they go like, no, you're not. Well, come on, let's go over here. And then when they bring them over, they bring them back here and they can see that they have. And that's something that I'm going to do.
That's really great.
Yeah, any any young people who participate in the movies, hopes one of these ladies will come by and they can autograph the board for me. And someone say, you don't know how valuable these boards is now when you're getting original signatures from Olympics stars. And look, the lady here, she ran in 1960.
Wow.
1992. I don't see, she didn't put the year that she ran there. This lady here was in 1956, 1959.
But that's so important, just to have people's signatures come in who are part of the movie, and then people who might just feel like it speaks to them in some level of their life, right, and allowing them to come in and sign that. That's very important.
And these are people who actually ran in the Olympic and won the gold medal. No, they just didn't come in and I said, "Oh, go sign the board." No, that didn't happen. Yeah.
So finding people in our history that actually want to tell a story,
Oh, yeah.
and that have contributed to it. Can you tell us about this movie? So, Birth of a Nation, why is that so big on contributing to our history in this nation?
Well, it's about Nat Turner, and Nat Turner was a very controversial person back during this particular time. It was my understanding that the movie was going to be called Nat Turner. But after some people saw the movie and saw how they was portraying Nat Turner, that, we've got to make some changes here. And they call it The Birth of the Nation. This is not the first movie that came out with this, using the term as a Birth of the Nation. There's another one back there that talks about that also. But this one is about Nat Turner, and there was people when Nat Turner was alive who did not like him because he really fought this whole business for us. Segregation was concerned and the treatment that was being forced on black people.
So people should definitely go see this movie and at least look up Nat Turner just to figure out what it was like that back then, fighting and stuff.
Right. Exactly. And it's not for you to go out that want to pick up some ropes and hang some people or do some other things. Just understand that look where we came from, where we are today, and let's keep going.
All right. And let's keep going through the museum, and we're going to go through the other section. This is part 2 now. So when you bring us over here, I want to stop by this section because this is very beautiful artwork. And can you tell us who painted this and how it got here to the museum?
This was donated to the museum, and I have no idea who the person was who painted this. And this is a special area on Whitney Houston. I always say that she's sung like no other female that I know in my lifetime, and I thought it was very fitting that we spotlight her here.
Not just her, you have a whole demographic of women up here.
Oh, yes.
And so this is a collage of just women in entertainment?
Yes. Women who've played certain roles during the time from slavery to the present day.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, behind this particular exhibit area is a special area that's donated to black women.
Okay, let's go ahead and take a roundabout and look at that.
That's what this is.
Well, can you tell us why it's so important to grab every little article and book cover with somebody's face on it of all these women? I see you have Janet Jackson over here. I see you have some other notable figures. I can't tell who this is, but okay, yeah.
That's Angela Davis. Yeah, right. These ladies were the first airline pilots who flew commercial planes. Okay. Right. And here, trailblazers, we call them. These are young ladies who were involved in I'm going brain dead here. They was involved in anchors for news casters here in the metro Atlanta area. That's why. And it's important that our young ladies see these women so they know that there's other things that you can do other than going to the club and dancing on the pole. That's very, very important.
And it underscores how influential black women were to the movement and fighting the struggle of black people, because there's so many faces. I mean, just look at here, you have a whole second tier of pictures of all these females who have done so many courageous things for the movement.
Yeah. And behind you here, these are all young ladies who's in the metro Atlanta area who's involved in politics in the community in the past and also today.
Okay. So you don't have to be a singer or a doctor. Sometimes you can just be a politician. Sometimes you can be a leader in your own community and still make a way.
That's right.
Okay, great. So let's go over here and take a look at this section right over here. You have some inventors, right? So
Yeah,
you
we
have
an
some.
inventors area.
Okay.
We might want to go this and work our way back down.
Okay, let's do that. So we're gonna go walk with Mr. Horton all the way back here. And this is something interesting too. You have all these nice bright artworks, and that's something very telling of this museum, why Sights and Sounds is so accurately fitting, because it has all these pictures donated from different people, all walks of life that you accept.
Oh yes, yeah. They come in and say, hey, I've got something I think you may like, love to have in the museum. Would you accept it? I say yes. Now, once you do that, you can't come back next week and want to take it back.
All right, it's a permanent installment now.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
All the Barbie dolls. When I was growing up, little black girls did not have dolls that looked like them, and now they do. And that's important.
And what's more important is learning about the different facts and the different people who've helped out. And this is why you have this wheel right here.
Oh yeah. Well, what happened when I do a lot of people that walks through the museum, all these are different areas of the museum. Then you would come have a game and you spin the wheel. And what area it stops on, then you will get a question. If you answer that question, you will win a special prize. For instance, if it stopped on Jet Magazine, I would ask you, name me one person who's on the cover of the Jet Magazine.
Angela Davis.
There you go. So you will win a prize. Over here, Michael.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
All right. This man. Tell us about this man. We already know about this man. Tell us about this man again someday.
I think that the thing that really got me excited a little bit about Michael, I know he was a very talented young man, but I found out that he has a patent and an invention. And what he did is he created this thing called an anti-gravity shoe here. And Smooth Criminal, when you see him leaning and coming back up, it's because of the shoe that he designed. Usher can do it, and Chris Brown, and I understand that he designed a pair for them before he passed. Well, that's Michael.
So Michael just wasn't a singer and a performer. He was a thinker. He was an innovator.
You better believe it.
Okay.
You better believe it.
You have some other memorabilia to other artists here too. So take us a little bit through the walk of time and see before Michael what came about.
Oh yeah. This is some information on Motown, which is very big. The Cotton Club in Harlem, there. Also, all this collages here and here represent black individuals who was entertainers back before I was even born, probably even before my grandmother or mother was born. And that's what this collage represents here.
There's so many of them. It's just an endless supply of artists and musicians and talented people who just colored the range of our history from the now until forever ago.
Right. And that's what this is all about,
So we have some different albums here too. The Isley Brothers, those are classic.
Mm-hmm.
Snoop Dogg figurine, didn't know he sold those.
Yeah,
Right there.
All right.
Okay.
And this is the.
Oof, that's an old player.
That's right.
Tape player.
That's right.
So is that yours? Or?
Oh yeah. Okay. This is all at the museum. There's a cassette player there, the 8-track player there.
Okay. Did you have to work hard to find these items and bring them up to stuff?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sometimes I was getting on my knees, say, "Oh please, I need that." You got a couple of $1,000? No, go ahead and take it. Then the person said, "Well, here, we're gonna give it to you."
Right, because you just don't find these everywhere nowadays.
No, not at all. You don't find the 8-track. That's what 8-track. Yeah.
Green.
Yeah.
That is a classic.
Yeah, and it goes in there. I got to get this plugged back up.
Oh, does that work?
It did.
Oh.
But I got to get it plugged back up and find out what happened to it. Sometimes I have people that come back and they are pushing buttons that they shouldn't be pushing.
That's why we have signs on the museum says "Don't touch, guys." Don't touch. Right.
Yeah.
So we got some records over here.
Yeah, this is an 8-track player, portable one.
Okay.
Someone dropped that one. It played up until a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. And I have a lot of fun with this one.
Okay, still spinning. See, everything still works in here, guys.
That's all Michael. Yeah, so I have a lot of fun with
That's
that.
incredible.
Oh, yeah. When they come through, I say, all right, let me see how many of you can do the moonwalk.
And then keeping on from what we learned, like different techniques and different dances, that brings us to this section, which is so important to me because I feel like we always have to keep our knowledge up and learn. So can you tell us about different sororities and fraternities and what kind of part those play in our culture?
Well, I am not a member of a fraternity, and they would not let me join the sorority, which I wanted to do. And they said to me, why? I said, you know, if I'm going to be hanging out in some kind of organization, if I can get in there with the young ladies, that's where I want to be hanging out. I want to be hanging out with you guys. But they're a very important part of our culture and our history. And all of the historical black colleges and universities, they do have sororities and fraternities. And before I left the University of Alabama, they was able to open up and have the black sororities and fraternities there. I told them I was having a hard enough time being black at that particular time, so I didn't want to be black and Greek too. But I support them for their effort in what they're doing and making education an important part of their goals for our young people, and that's very, very good. Also, spotlight here is all of the historical black colleges. Like you can come and you can pick this up. I'll laminate it. And in here, all of the historical black colleges there. Information about them, starting from Alabama and Arkansas and all the different ones. That's there.
So it's a complete directory of black student.
Yes.
Okay. HBCUs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's that.
And then bring us over here. So what section would you like to go first? Would you like to go into?
Let's go this one over here, yeah.
Okay.
Here.
More magazines.
Oh yeah.
Man,
What I'm doing, yeah. What I'm doing here now is collect all of the Jet magazines because you can't get them like this anymore. The only way you can get them is go online. The first Jet was printed in 1951.
Okay.
And the last one was printed in 2017. So what I'm trying to do is get a magazine from 1951 all the way to 2017.
Okay.
And I'll have them all displayed.
Now, was Jet the first black magazine or black publication?
No, I think someone told me there was one before that. That's the other thing that I'm trying to do too, is find information about print material that was put out in masses by black people or African Americans here in the United States.
And when we look at some of the covers here, we see a couple sports players, Kobe and Shaq. We see Venus and Serena Williams. So
But see, they are on Sports Illustrated, not the Jets. That's
right.
here.
So we have a lot of people, just all types of publications, no matter where we are.
Yes.
We're seeing, we're
All right.
seeing.
All
We got
right.
an Essence magazine over here.
Oh yes.
We got all types of things. We got Tiger Woods over here. We got a couple football players too. We got some baseball players, right?
Oh, yeah.
Some famous baseball players. Where's that section at?
Oh, yeah.
Real
We
quick.
got the Negro Baseball League,
Okay.
and some here and then some on the other side.
Okay. And now, can you tell us about
This is the first Disney. Disney finally did Princess. They had Cinderella and all these other ones for a long time. So that's Dr. Young lady there, and this is Dr. McStuffins, which has became one of Disney's most watched cartoons around.
popular.
Oh yes, oh yeah. And the young ladies, when they come through, they like to dress up and walk around with the thing, and just encourage them be a doctor. Also, what I did here is I like to send subliminal messages. And here you see Ruby Bridges when she was the first little black young lady who went to all-white school, being escorted by U.S. Marshals. And this one is the Malata Queen, who was the grandmother of Europe. And people think that the young lady that one of the princes just married was the first black person to be part of the historical European family, but no, she was there.
Wow. Okay, so now we find ourselves in this princess.
This is Tiana. I like her, and I asked someone, young lady who came through, I said, "Did you watch the movie?" She said, "Yes." I said, "What was it inspired you to want to do?" She said, "One day open my own business." I said, "Thank you." Yeah, because that's what the movie's about.
Inspire you to be your best self. Do what you can.
Yes.
Okay, so when we turn around, what are we looking at right now?
Right here, this one is sort of dedicated to several sports heroes. This is Michael Jordan here, and then this is Muhammad Ali on this side.
Okay. Michael Jordan the Great. Muhammad Ali the Greatest.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. And I get some people come through, they say, "I get all that on my." I said, "Now, in my lifetime, I think Michael was probably the all-around basketball player that I saw. Michael played forward, guard, center, and he also could play defense. Not a lot of great basketball players could do all of that as well as he did. Right. Muhammad Ali, what can you say?
Hold like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yep. I like the one that he said he went into the hotel and it's time for him to go to bed. He turned off the light and he was in the bed before the light went off.
Gotta get early rest.
Oh yeah, that's Muhammad Ali. So this is an invention. That's right. This is an inventor's table. Everything here was invented by black men and women. What I'm able to do is research and put the patent numbers of the different inventions.
Okay. And so talk to us about some of the more significant ones that we don't think that we had a part in making and manifesting.
This one has been surprising to me. A lot of people come through the acoustic guitar and say, "Wow, I did not know that." Yeah. And the first telephone.
Okay.
You know.
The first telephone.
Yeah.
So before there was texting or.
Yes. Do you know how to use this?
The original dial-up? No.
There you go. Yeah.
Click the area code and just keep going.
Keep going, yeah. And it was funny, a little girl said to me in one of the schools, she said, "Mr. Horton, I'm glad we have the ones today because back in that day, if I had to call 911, I know I'd be dead before they got here." Yeah.
It takes a long time to click over to 9.
Yeah.
Okay. So we come over here, we talk about Peanuts and George Washington Carver. And we have a couple books about such inventions like the great things that we can do with peanuts and stuff like that. What about these? This looks new though.
It's just tell the story of African American inventors that's in there, pioneers, things that they've done over the years that you don't hear about. The real McCoy, he did the machine that oil. You don't have to stop the machine in order to oil it because that's what you have to do. He created this drip drop thing that all you have to do is just let it keep going. And so often it let certain amount of oil out to oil your machine.
And that seems like it could be used for anything or a lot of things, right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. What are some other things you'd like to show us right now?
The dustpan, and it's kind of funny because the dustpan, the broom, the mop, they say, "Doesn't make sense." I said, "Yeah, they have to make it easier for themselves, you know. They was on their knees mopping floors and dusting and all that kind of thing." This book is written by a young man that lives here in the metro Atlanta area, and what's in it is literally hundreds of patents, and it's about people who invented different things.
And to hold a patent on something means you have the creative control over that invention.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Any other items that you see?
This one, pencil sharpener.
Okay.
And just yesterday, some young ladies was in here and they said, "We still have that in our school." I said, "See, we had no idea." And when I get to school, I'm gonna make sure everybody know that a black man invented that pencil sharpener or the water sprinkler. Okay. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. A typewriter too, I see.
Yes, the typewriter.
Okay.
And here you was asking about the Negro Baseball League.
Okay, you look like you got every card here. Take a look at that. Okay.
And that's what this is. It talks about the Negro Baseball League here. Some of these players was not in the Negro Baseball League, but Satchel Paige and the first one there, Jackie Robertson, and different information about them. Okay. And I have cards, trading cards. That's here.
Did you collect all these yourself?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The collection had over 60,000 sports cards. I don't have room, wouldn't dare try to bring them here, so I take some out every now and then and bring them in. And different teams there, Negro Baseball League. All right, here too, pictures, signed autographs, and here in uniforms.
Some of the patches, some of the titles. Okay.
Right, that's what that's all about.
Great. Okay, so what's the next section that you feel we should probably go to next? Because you got a lot of tables out here in the middle area. Well, that brings us to the end of our interview and our walk through the museum sights and sounds with Mr. James C. Horton. He has been a great host, and he encourages everyone to come out here more than once because you're going to get something new every time you come in here. And are there any final thoughts that you'd like to give us before we sign off?
I would just like people to know that what we try to do here is give a different perspective about who we are, where we came from, and where we're on our way. I always remember my grandmother saying to me, boy, if you don't know where you came from, how you going to get to where you're trying to go? Which made sense with me. I enjoy this. People have been very grateful and giving items and visiting the museum. We don't charge people. It's donation only. If you like to come in, a little donation. You got $1 million. Don't you put that in the donation jar? But we do encourage people to do that. We're here Monday through Sundays. Mondays through Saturdays from 10 a.m. until about 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 12 to 5. Okay. Right. All come. All are welcome.
That sounds great. All welcome. Come out, see the museum, meet this guy. He's awesome. All the history, take it in from the past and the present, all the art. Come out. Sights and Sounds Museum at North Dekalb Mall. Check it out sometime. Mr. James C. Horton, thank you. Appreciate it, sir.
Yes.
How are you doing? I'm Larry Lawrence. I would like to give a special thanks to Mr. Horton for letting us come out to Sights and Sounds Museum and doing a video. But I would like all the families and different people to go out there and check it out because it does show a lot of Black history and you will get a lot of knowledge when you go there. Once again, thanks, Mr. Horton. Hey, everybody. Mr. Horton loves the kids. He loves the kids to come to Sights and Sounds Museum and learn from all the things inside of there. It is like a time capsule in there. It starts off on one point and goes to all different things. So thanks again for Mr. Horton. It's a wonderful place. It doesn't cost anything to actually come and check it out. You know what I mean? It is a 501(c), so it does take a lot of donations. Just go there and check it out. I bet you would love it. I bet you will not know everything in there, so you will come up with a lot of knowledge just for going in there and seeing all different type of things. So once again, thanks, Mr. Horton, for letting us come out. All right?
I
go to a nature. Yeah, I do.
The cotton balls that you get at the store is not like this.
Yeah, those are rock.
Oh, there you go. This is real cotton. Yeah, that's cotton. All right, and we're going to let you touch it and pass it on, okay?
This is cotton. Our people used to pick.
Yes.
Your ancestors picked that cotton.
Just touch it, pass it on, let someone else have a chance to do it also. Oh, and what you feel inside is seeds. The seeds are still inside. Yeah, still have seeds inside.
I still see.
Did y'all get a feel?
Oh yeah, I feel it. I feel it.
Man, she could feel it, Captain. The cotton.
You can feel the seeds.
You share it with her.
You can feel what?
Anybody else want to feel the real cotton? You're grown up, you already did it.
It's just like the regular skin. It just has the seeds.
You still have
We know.
seeds.
What y'all don't feel inside? This is what my people used to pick. Yeah.
Wait, what's going on? She was saying that you say that it looks like
Zoe and Zoe.
What about the cotton? Do I have all the cotton back? All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else? That's real cotton.
Give me this cotton. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Back up just a little bit so I can pass by. was collected by my mom, and she passed them on to me. She died a few years ago.
Sorry for your loss.
Oh, no.
Why you say no?
Because we still communicate. Even though I don't see her, she seems like she has her hands on me now more than you did when I was your age.
You would go to heaven too.
I'm sure all the trouble I gave her, that she's lucky to me.
When you die, you would go to
She's in
heaven.
heaven. All right. But we still communicate. All right. Let me get over here. You back up just a little bit. Back up.
It's okay. We're not that tall.
Yeah. Over here, what you see is tools from what was called a slave plantation. That's where your great-great-grandmothers and grandfathers, when they were here, was ancestors. Yeah. Okay. Some of the parents may know. Have you remember the cowboy picture that came on TV, the Lone Ranger? You heard the Lone Ranger? Well, the Lone Ranger was Bass Reed, who happened to be a black man. But they portrayed him on TV as the Lone Ranger, which was a Caucasian man.
Who raps that?
Why have raps?
That's Uncle Junior's picture.
Back up a little bit. I'm going to fall over no one.
Back up. That doesn't mean push because there's a little girl behind me. Oh, excuse me.
Wait a minute.
I call this grandmother's and great-grandmother's kitchen. When I visit my grandmother, I would see and when they would advertise us on products, this is what they make it look like.
Boys and girls, look over here. Look. Over here.
Or this is the way they portrayed us.
They portrayed us, that's right.
Exactly right. And now, I'm finding
Which
out,
one?
The one with the family dinner.
Oh,
you
really?
probably know what that is.
That's amigo.
Ah, okay.
And the
I must tell Amigos they're doing a good job. Nobody knows who this is, but everybody
Knows what that is.
Yeah, I know. It sounds zero.
Mr. Horton, show them the cream of wheat. My daughter hates it.
No.
The original flavor.
The original flavor.
There you go.
Cream of what?
Cream of wheat.
It's like grapes.
It's not like grits. No, it's not. It's creamier.
That's the real cream. Grits are the best. Grits are the best. Grits are the best.
When I was 7 years old, my mother also gave me a job to do. She said, you do this every day. Saturday, I'll pay you. Looks like you had a job. I said, yes, ma'am. That Saturday morning,
Don't push on the ropes.
after I had done all the chores,
Don't push
all
on the
week,
ropes.
she gave me 25 cents, which was a quarter. I went to the store and I bought this,
And a moon pie.
this, this, and I bought this.
For 25 cents.
And got it changed up.
Or something was 2 cents, one was 1 cent, one was
There you go.
the soda was the most expensive.
Yes. And a young lady was in and she said, Mr. Horton, we always discussing how old you are. She said, now I know. I said, why? She said, because my great-grandmother told us the same story. But yes, she did.
Thank you. But the plates were pink. Pink ice.
I've had these so long they changed the color.
Oh, okay. It's just saying that the plates were pink.
Now let me back over here if I can. What do you guys think this?
Oh, I remember
Ice
those
trays.
ice trays.
Yeah. You put the water, freeze it,
I remember
pop it,
that.
and you have cute lines.
Back way.
Well, that's cool. I want that
Get the baby bottle.
No, I can't give up my Barbie doll. Somebody wanted to take my Barbie
Look
doll.
how they made
Barbie doll.
Mr. Horton, can you show the baby bottle again?
Oh, yeah. Let me. I got it.
S&H green.
What are y'all?
These are S&S green stamps. And what would happen when you go to the store, they would give you these stamps. You put them in a special book like this, then you could take them somewhere and you could get clothes, shoes, furniture, stuff like that. And my mother would always make us lick them. We could put water.
Walt Disney has something called.
Oh, there's his doll. I see the coat. Yeah. What is that? I want that.
This is my baby balls.
Girl, that's a A soda bottle. He uses a baby bottle cap and a Coca-Cola.
There you go. That's what my mother did.
That's
She
really
took all of the Coke out of it. She put milk in it or water in it. And then she would take the nipple and put it on.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can't take that.
Do you see how blessed you are?
Yeah.
All right. I bet you were thinking mom now. But that was my baby bottle.
That was actually a real bottle. They were using Coca-Cola bottle.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's
Oh my God. I gotta get a close up of that one when they moved
Coca-Cola,
that.
sir.
I never saw that.
A razor.
You know the young mans need a haircut?
No. They do this. I got a haircut.
These are the first clippers that was used to cut my hair.
What?
The barber gave them to me after he found out I was doing the museum. And when he got them, he showed me how to use them. I said, now I know why I'm bald headed. Because when you cut my hair, you pull it out by the root.
Oh, that must have hurt.
Raw crown grease.
This one,
That's the waffle maker.
Oh, that's hot cold. I've seen those.
this is what my sisters used to get their hair done. They take this and heat it up. That's what
Straighten
like
it?
this. They call it straightening comb. That's what I heard. All right, and they use this to curl the hair.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So you just
No. She asked me if these were plies. No.
Those are curlers,
Yeah,
hair
those are
curlers.
curlers.
That's a curling iron, that hot iron that we plug up in there. The flat iron or whatever.
They're not scissors.
Oh, do you?
They were scissors.
They were scissors. He said they thought they were scissors. No,
One time I did have a little hair.
That's pig.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know what that is. I know what that is. Is that the one with the black fists on it?
a lot of people back in the
Get you on TV too.
No, don't put it on.
Yes, you can. You can still do a pig.
Someone asked me about the Barbie doll, the Coke Barbie doll.
Really? Is it live?
Why do you have sisters?
Barbie doll? No. Those are some things I collected as part of the museum.
Can you put like a for the girls so you can have some?
No? All right. Anybody behind me?
Yes, that little girl.
All right, let's come this time. We're going to stop. I can't move too fast.
Yeah, Luther King Jr. But they all know who it is. They don't know him. Wait, be quiet, be quiet. Listen. Just listen.
Malcolm X.
Louis Armstrong. Biggie. That's fake. Yeah, you were not for
Okay. All right, everybody listen up. Everybody listen up.
Listen up.
All right, I got to find out something. Everybody stand still. Don't move. Be careful.
Stand back. Stand back.
Back up. I want to see how
I'm
many
getting out the way.
let's see how many people can do the moonwalk.
I can't. I'm not even gonna try.
I don't have anybody else. Anybody, Michael? Oh, yeah. You got a moonwalker.
Where's Trevor? Tell this how y'all do it. Oh, wait. What you got? I got it.
Exactly. I bet these people are doing that.
I got it now.
Baby King Xbox. Yeah, really? That's old. Really? That's BB King. What about the like little truck thing? I forgot what it's called.
That's an old record player.
I'm like, that's a very That looks like a
a Grammy.
Yes, yes. Congrats, and you're out there award that they give at the Grammy.
I don't see the difference. Tuskegee University isn't everything, okay? There's other schools.
Wherever your mama went to, Howard, wherever she went.
My grandma has the exact same thing. She has to go to college.
Okay, I hear some, listen up. I hear some young ladies talking about Tuskegee and Howard. So all of you going to have to come back, what, about 10 years from now, you should be in college? And let me know what school that you're graduating from. How about that?
Princeton. I'm going to Harvard.
Where are you going?
Harvard.
Harvard, Princeton? What school are you going to?
FAMU.
FAMU?
I'm going to FAMU. Follow me. I'm going to Tuskegee. I'm not going to FAMU anymore.
Martin Luther.
That's not a college.
That's a high school. That's Morehouse. Right behind my Morehouse College. That's Morehouse. I took a picture.
All right, so
I said FAMU. I'm going to FAMU.
You guys know all of the historical black colleges. That's great.
she's around. I'm a tiger. I'm just teasing.
Oh, okay, okay.
I didn't isn't everything, Lord. When I was little, I had this little book. Oh my gosh.
I bought her the doll and I didn't open it. You know, the Princess Tiana.
And the other
Yeah, the real black Barbie.
they love y'all. That's creepy dolls. Creepy doll.
You see how those things
Okay,
are?
now,
Mommy, take
listen
it.
up, everybody.
Look, not
Listen
look.
up.
We have Mr.
The number one area in the museum, the one that I take more pride in than any other one, is this. Everything on the boards around the table and everything on the table was invented by black men and women. So take your time, start this direction, and walk around and take a look. Let's go. Except I want someone, everybody to gather right here. Now, when I was your age and I wanted to use the telephone, this is what the telephone looked like.
I still have that. I have a new telephone.
Okay? All right, young lady, I want you to take this and you're going to hold it to your ears and you're going to dial your mother's phone number.
Oh my god! I only know my dad's phone number.
You know mommy's number?
Yeah.
So you can look at the phone. I can't believe she don't know how to use that. I remember that. It's the rotary phone. My grandmother had one.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Just received it.
Hold it. All right. Now you're going to put it to your ear and you're going to call your mother.
I don't even know my dad.
You see the old phone we used
Can I
to
call
use, Taylor? We used to dial the phone like that instead of this here.
Very, very good. I was at school and a young lady said to me, by the time I dialed the number, if it was 911, I'll be dead before they did it.
Yes. Oh my god.
Thank you
think
for
you know
being
how to do
patient.
Okay.
Can I do it? Bring it to that little thing. Oh my god.
I think I got it.
You've been dead before they even got the number. You gotta push it and turn until it stops. Let go. Next number.
This is with the old phone.
There you go. There you go.
Go ahead, Bella. Who's next?
Me.
All right.
We all want to take a picture with the phone.
All right.